All right, here we go. Back to Nevergreen City. Do you remember why he wants to go back to Nevergreen City? Who's in Nevergreen City? He needs that person's help because his family's in danger. What's going on with his family? Let's find out. High, high over the desert flew the dragon, the hot wind stifling him, the hot sun parching his throat. Do you know what that word parching means? Now imagine the sentence that it said. He's in the desert. The hot sun is parching his throat. Can you imagine what that word means using that context around there? Yeah, what does he really need? He strained his eyes to see each object on the sand to make sure it wasn't a man. At last, he was over Spiky Mountain Range, panting for air and water. He circled down fast and plunged through the trees to a mountain brook. He had seen no one on the desert. I'll rest here till dark, he thought, sticking his head right under the cool, gurgling water. Then he lay down in the brook on his stomach, carefully keeping his gold-colored wings out of the water. As he dried off on a sunny rock, he listened for noises of men and dreamed of how he and Elmer would rescue his family. Once he heard some children's voices, but a woman called them together and they went off in the other direction. School picnic, he thought, as he shook out his wings for a long, hard trip ahead. He wanted to reach Nevergreen City by the morning without stopping. Up through the trees and over Seaweed City flew the dragon. He saw lights popping on suddenly along the streets, in houses, but he didn't hear a little boy scream, "Mommy, come look at the dragon in the sky!" Uh-oh. It didn't matter. The little boy's mother said, "Oh, Chester, I told you to go back to bed." So Chester was the only one that saw the baby dragon, and nobody believed him until later when the dragon affair had become something famous. As I remember, Elmer said he lived right across the street from a park, thought the dragon as he hurried on. Yeah, it was Evergreen Park, but what if I can't find him? The wind beat back his tears as he raced over Seaweed Bay, over Mr. Wagon Wheel's farm and the zigzagging brook. He thought he could see the road as the moon slipped in and out among the clouds. He flew to the coast of Popsicornia and followed it southward. Suddenly, he felt flooded in light. What had happened? The moon? No. He looked down and saw a beam of light leaping up from a ship off the coast. He violently zigged and zagged up and down to one side and then to the other, trying to get out of that beam of light. Men were shouting on the ship, into the beam, out again, flooded in light, out of the beam again he flew. He knew that the ship's searchlight had found him accidentally, but as it tried to follow his flight, he thought wildly, how well can they see me? What do they think that I am? And then, as suddenly as the light had found him, it lost him. He sped on in the comforting darkness, his heart pounding with fear. As dawn began to break into the sky, he saw Nevergreen City Harbor, the lighthouse, and in the center of the city, there was a large green shape. Evergreen Park, he thought with relief, and he quietly glided down among the trees. No one had been on the streets to see him. Chapter 6. Elmer to the rescue. Do you know who that is? Who's sleeping on Elmer? Who became his good friend? Do you remember that cat from the very beginning? Dawn brought Saturday to Nevergreen City, and as Elmer slept snugly in his comfortable bed, he was suddenly awakened by a damp, cold kiss on his cheek. Wake up, insisted the voice. He opened his eyes and muttered, "It's Saturday. There is no school today." "Elmer, wake up," said the old alley cat, the same old alley cat that had told him about the dragon in the first place. "Elmer, we've got to go to work. I just saw that dragon fly into the park. He must be in trouble. We'll have to hurry to find him a hiding place before the city wakes up." "The dragon? Why, he only just brought me home." Elmer jumped out of bed and into his clothes and tiptoed down the stairs with the cat following behind him. Silently, they crept out the front door, down the porch steps, and into Evergreen Park. "You look this way. I'll go down the other way," said the cat. Where could a dragon hide? Wondered Elmer. looking at the rows of trees along the walks, the scattered rocks, the pool, and then at the place the city was going to build an amusement park. A big steam shuttle sat idly on the spot marked out for the foundations. Elmer liked steam shovels and was just thinking of exploring this one when the steam shovel jiggled a bit. And you see why? Look closely. It's a good place to hide. The dragon! He climbed up quickly into the cab. Elmer, whispered the baby dragon. Oh, Elmer! And the dragon burst into tears because he was so glad to see his friend. The alley cat saw you fly into the park, explained Elmer, hugging the dragon around the neck. But why have you come back? Are you in trouble? Terrible trouble, groaned the dragon, and he explained that he had what had happened to his family. Will you help me? You'll help me, won't you? He pleaded. Of course, said Elmer. Let's think out a plan. I suppose we'll have to wait until dark to leave. I suppose so, said the dragon sadly. But you'll be able to rest here, said the cat, who had found them by this time. It's Saturday, and the men won't start today. I'll keep meddlers away. Meanwhile, let's work on a plan. And I want to show you something real quick before I move on, because we're working on quotation marks in our writing. So if you look at this page right here, can you see all the talking marks? There's the beginning of one. It says, it's hard to read this way. The alley cat saw you fly into the park. There's the beginning. There's the end. And then there's more talking. Keeps going on and on. All of those talking marks throughout the whole page. Do you see them? Beginning and ending. Lots of conversation going on this page between Elmer and the dragon. The three friends talked about the problem all morning. Then Elmer went home for lunch. His mother was used to his long early morning walks, but she'd be suspicious if he didn't turn up for lunch. That afternoon, Elmer took all of the money out of his tin bank and went to collect the things he would need. Oh, we always know he collects good stuff. I wonder what he needs for this adventure. He brought, are you ready? 16 whistles of assorted tones. Now think about your music words. What is tones? If there's assorted means many different kinds. So many different kinds of tones. What does that mean when they're talking about a whistle? 16 horns, also of assorted tones. 1 cap pistol with caps. 1 ball of heavy string. 6 large chocolate bars. 3 boxes of fig Newtons. He found this very sharp jackknife and took a flashlight from the kitchen drawer. Then he carefully packed everything in his father's knapsack and went down to supper. He had $7.36 left over after his shopping. Elmer, what have you been doing all day? His mother asked. I haven't seen hide nor hair of you except for at lunch. Oh, I've been over in the park looking at the place where they're going to build that amusement center, said Elmer, which was true in a way. At last, the moment came to sneak out with his knapsack and join the dragon at the steam shovel. As he ran down the path, he saw the old alley cat waiting for him. I'm sorry you can't come too, said Elmer, climbing onto the dragon's back. So am I, said the cat sadly, but I'm too old. I'm better off taking care of your mother and father. They do worry so. Goodbye, good luck. Goodbye, whispered Elmer and the dragon as they flew up into the sky. All right, that's it for today. Ooh, the next chapter is called The Dragons of Blueland. So they're going to get there, I think. Figure them out. I wonder what Elmer needs all of those supplies for. He always has such curious supplies, but boy, they worked out well for him in the first story, didn't they? See you tomorrow.